All right, boys and girls, the New York Jets lose a frustrating, humiliating game to the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday Night Football, 12-16. Could not get in the end zone again. 6 points last week, 12 points this week. The defense pitches a game where the Raiders only score 16 points, and we can't get out of our own way. I'm frustrated. I don't know. Look, I look at this game, and for the majority of the game, I could sit there and say, look, Zach made some really nice throws. He had some really good pocket awareness where he got the ball out in some crunch plays. Garrett Wilson dropped the ball, penalties, things like that. Zach had an opportunity when he ran that ball, just stepped out of bounds on the 3-yard line. Jets couldn't punch it in from there. That ultimately wound up being the difference maker for the New York Jets. Zach Wilson finishes 23 of 39, 263 yards and an interception. The interception was the crucial backbreaker there towards the end. He was our leading rusher. 4 carries, 54 yards. This was the second worst rushing defense in the NFL. The Jets got, other than the 54 yards from Zach, they got 28 from Brees, 2.2 yards a carry. Dalvin Cook had 26 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. The Jets unable to move the ball against a team that should have been easy to move the ball against on the ground. Last week, the Jets versus the 32nd ranked pass defense, they could not move the ball through the air either. This is a coaching problem. This is a quarterback problem. This is an offensive problem. This is a penalty issue. This is an injury issue. This is an offensive lineman issue. This is a wide receiver issue. This is a quarterback issue. This is just absolutely brutal to have this consistently week in and week out. I'm done making excuses. It sucks. This was the game that you really needed. Heading into this game, the Jets had a 25% shot at making the playoffs. If they lost, it was a 54% shot if they won it. Now that you lose, you are in a world of hurt. Now, before the game started, we did hear that Aaron Rodgers is planning a middle of December comeback. That's 1 month from today. And if the Jets offense and team can't get us to hang around and this dude thinks he can come back in the middle of the season, there's going to be no reason for him to. There's going to be no reason for him to come back this year. Top receiver Garrett Wilson, 9 receptions, 93 yards. Tyler Conklin, 7 receptions, 70 yards. Brees Hall, 3 receptions, 47 yards. So Brees ends up with a 70 spot on the day. CJ Mosley leading the way for the tacklers on the defensive side. Had 5 tackles, 9 assists, 14 total tackles. Quincy did not hit my mark. I wound up having 7 tackles. Needed him to get over 8. But the Jets, overall, very, very rough game for the fan base. And I'm looking forward to talking to you guys and seeing what your thoughts are on all of this. I see John in here. John says, how do you cope with being a Jets fan? It absolutely tortures me. Dude, I am all sorts of frustrated all the time. All the time. I've been doing this channel now. This is the 5th or 6th season, and I've never covered a winning team. Never covered a winning team. It drives you bonkers. This defense is elite. There's players that want to win. And I just don't know what the answer is because it feels like this one's on coaching. The lack of preparedness since the bye week. I mean, you're talking the Giant game, you're talking the Charger game, and now the Raider game. 3 weeks in a row, lots of penalties, only field goals. Like the only touchdown we have is Brees Hall scampering for a 50-yard run in the Giant game. That's the last touchdown we had since the Eagles game. And that touchdown that we scored in that game was a gift to Brees Hall because they wanted him to score so they would have extra time at the end of the game. So you might have to go back. Did we score another touchdown in the Eagles game, or was that the only touchdown? I think it was the only touchdown. So you're talking about like the Bronco game week 5 was the last time the Jets had a legitimate touchdown. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Texas Toast says it's over. It's been more than now. It's been more over than it is now. This is the worst offense I've ever seen in my life. Even in the Gase era, we were able to score points and be disciplined. No excuses for tonight's 0. Yeah, if Hackett were not Rodgers' best friend, I don't think he'd be would be here right now. Offense is having a rough go of it. Alex says, mock draft season. Take one of the wide receivers in this loaded wide receiver class. Hate that I have to do mock drafts already, but that's the reality. Coleman, Neighbors, O'Dunes. So I would like to go offensive line early or wide receiver early. I tend to lean towards Mike Evans in free agency and then go heavy offensive line in the first round and then wide receiver in the second round. There's supposed to be like 20 wide receivers that could go the first 3 days. So it depends how you want to address it. If you get T. Higgins, depending on how much you want to spend on free agency, it really depends. There's so much up in the air. But yeah, it feels like mock draft season is squarely upon us. The Flipster, thank you so much for the super chat, says, I have no feelings anymore being a fan over 20 years. Yeah, I mean, I just turned 34 last Saturday. So, I mean, I've been watching since probably 96, realistically, when I can remember. Fucking brutal, dude. Mumtaz says, even when Zach is not awful, you can be sure that the killer interception is coming. Same thing against Kansas City. We can't run at all. The defense always gives up really explosive plays at the worst time. And the Woods injury hurt. The Woods injury hurt, but if you hold a team to 16 points this week, and even last week, the Jets defense really played well. Zach fumbled twice, leading to 14 points, and he got us knocked out of field goal range. That was another 3. So that was 17 points that were gifted last week. And this week, the Jet defense only gave up 16 points. They got 2 turnovers. What are you supposed to do if you're the Jet defense? How do they feel? I don't think Simeon's the answer. And look, I'll be honest, this isn't a game I would have pulled Zach on either. I thought Zach played all right tonight. We're going to see a few good throws. I'll do my every throw tonight into tomorrow. So you guys will get that at some point tomorrow. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to see. Jet fans shouldn't have to put up with this. Bronx Boogie says, we lucky we beat the Giants. That was a miracle. Hey, remember the Eagles game was kind of a gift as well, and we won on the last play of the Bills game on a wonky punt in overtime. If you start thinking about it, like as much as we were saying, hey, I'm happy to be 3-3 at the bye week, and with Aaron Rodgers, we could have been 5-1. This team with Zach Wilson could very easily be 1-8. We just had week 9. This was week 10, had the bye week. Yeah, we would be 1-8 right now. The Giants game was a miracle and a gift. Saquon Barkley did not need to fall down. They missed the field goal. They didn't go for it on the 4th down. It sucks. It really sucks. Life as a Jet fan is not fun right now. Julian says, do you think the team trades Zach? I don't know anymore. What team would trade for Zach? Maybe the 49ers? Chris says, Hackett is just bad at coaching an offense. Dude, he's so bad. I really like Hackett, the person. I enjoyed his personality throughout Hard Knocks. I enjoyed his fiery nature at training camp, but man, his offense sucks balls. It is so hard to watch. And it's a chicken or egg sort of conversation. Like, is it Zach missing open guys? Is it him not seeing things? Is the offensive line injuries and the penalties? You know, there's a lot of blame to go around here, but man, Hackett just has not had a good run of it right now. Mumtaz says, last week, every throw video blocked due to copyright. Yeah, it got blocked initially, and then then it wound up working, I guess. I think it's working. I'm pretty sure it wound up working towards the end there. I'll get it. What I did was I had too much... it was too long of a video, so they shut it down. But yeah, I'll have it up for you guys. Probably. I don't know if it'll be tonight, but I'll have it up to you. Sean says, a fan since the early 90s, but this team has now broken me. Every little positive means nothing anymore. It just sucks because we're wasting such a good opportunity. You have, Bryce Huff that's playing absolutely out of his mind on a cheap contract. You have Sauce and Garrett and Brees and Jermaine Johnson all playing on cheap contracts. DJ Reed is balling out like a top corner. You have the top tandem of linebackers in the league, and you allow Zach Wilson and this offense to consistently be incompetent over and over again. This game's not going to be solely on Zach. You'll see the every throw video. I feel pretty confident on that. I feel Zach had a pretty decent game. But man, I got to tell you, sitting here for 3 years in a row of seeing the 32nd ranked offense, I don't know how you don't just turn around and say, maybe it is the quarterback. Maybe it is the one thing that's consistently an issue time and time again. Uzama shouldn't see the field. Uzama's got to get off the damn field right now. I don't want to see him on the field ever again. Penalties. Stupid shit. I like that they're getting Gibson involved. I'll say this. There's one thing about Hackett is that he seems to have shifted, not responsibility, but he seems to have shifted a little bit of the roster or the guys and the snaps. Like, obviously, you're seeing Gibson more. They moved off Hardman. They have Ruckert out there a little more frequently. I didn't see Lazard get nearly as many targets tonight. Carter wasn't even really playing on third down. They had Brees in a lot. So I give them credit for like trying different stuff and not being stuck in a rut. But it just feels like he can't call a good offense, or at least he can't call a good offense for Zach. And we can't seem to get out of our way due to friggin' boneheaded penalties. It just seems to be a consistent problem here. The Flipper says, good point. We could only have one win this year. It's true. Farvian says this team was never going to be 1-8. You could go the other way and say they could be 8-1, but neither was going to happen. I completely agree. But I do think you have to acknowledge that this team is so drastically close to being the other direction. Like, realize the Giant game probably should not have happened. Like, I'd rather be lucky than good, but that was a very fluky thing to have happen. And the Jets played better the entirety of that game. They should have won that game, but we got lucky we won the game. The Eagles game falls into the same category. The Bills one, I feel like, is more of a victory because at least we would have had the ball around midfield with it, just an opportunity to kick a field goal. But that wasn't a very like offensive, firepower-y type game either. This offense just leaves this defense and special teams up to dry, and blame whoever you want. It's not okay. Coaching, to me, is the one that gets the blame for a lot of this right now. The Art of Pimpin' says, the penalties make me think they aren't listening to the coaches anymore. The fans are done, and it looks like the players are too. Same old Jets. This feels like a very undisciplined team. Like, going into the bye week, 3-3, you should have been hyped up. You should have been excited. You should have been able to really focus in and say, hey, wow, the back half of this schedule is looking pretty decent. And then you come out and you just have loads of penalties the last 3 games. Virtually no offensive production. The coaching staff clearly does not have this team dialed in right now. Zach hasn't looked good. I would say he hasn't looked awful. But just frustrating all around. Rob V says, our bottom line, our coaches blow besides Ulbrich. And this is a quarterback league. We should be able to score points. That's the frustrating part of this. They make it easy to score points, and we make it very hard on ourselves. Marco says, Jets fan since 1979, this lack of offense is just mind-boggling. It feels like we set the NFL back 50 years. That's what it feels like. Quest X says, we made a horrible mistake spending money on Aaron's friends because I feel like we've backed ourselves into a corner and the front office knows it. Look, don't get too wrapped up in the Lazard, Cobb, Turner, Amos, Malik Taylor, Dalvin Cook signings, because those signings were the price of getting Aaron Rodgers here. And Aaron Rodgers is the crown jewel. I would much rather have all those players and have Aaron Rodgers than see what we're currently seeing with different players. Like, I don't know if different players are necessarily going to allow us to win games with what I'm seeing from the offense right now. So, look, I think that's the price of admission for Rodgers. He gave money back. So even if you had traded for him and he didn't give money back, you would have been out that money anyway. It's a shit way to look at it, I know. And it ultimately is not good acquisitions, but I'm not going to beat my head senseless on it. The offense without Rodgers is just brutal. Steven says, can anyone move the ball in anyone can move the ball in prevent defense. Zach needs to go. That's where he's getting a lot of his garbage time stats from. He would have had like 200 yards last week if it wasn't for the fluffed up stuff at the end there. John says, don't you think we downgraded at wide receiver from last year? We did, but I think it's because Corey Davis stepped away from the game. If he had stayed in, Corey Davis, Lazard, and Garrett Wilson is a formidable trio. And I like Gibson as the 4. I would have been fine with Cobb. I would have been fine with Brownlee or whatever special teams kind of wide receiver you have. Adding Corey Davis to the mix here makes you feel a lot more confident about the wide receiver room, and him retiring or stepping away from the game 2 weeks before the start of the season was akin to like the Jets losing, Knapp just before the season. Not obviously one tragic, the other one, stepping away for his own personal reasons, but it feels like we're always hamstrung. And wide receiver, yeah, I definitely feel like we downgraded from where we were last year. Xavier says, how about quarterback Jaden Daniels wins in spite of defense? If Jaden Daniels, it sucks we don't have a second-round pick. If you can find a way to get a second-round pick and Jaden Daniels is there, I would make the pick. I don't think I'm ready to pull the trigger on a quarterback in the first round just yet. I'm not quite there. I won't say no to it because there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in this draft, and if you can sit him behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 years, then it's probably worth it. But I feel like offensive line is such a big issue. I need to see what happens in free agency prior to going into the draft. Jaden Daniels getting like 600 yards himself yesterday, 4 or 5 touchdowns, whatever the hell he had. Outrageous. I've never seen a player do that. He looks good. Bo Nix looks good. Penix looks good. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks coming out. Yitza says, kind of want to blow it up if Ben Johnson starts looking to be a head coach. Dude is cooking over there. If Ben Johnson wants to be a head coach and you wanted to pull the plug on Saleh, I don't think you can, though. That's the thing. Like, Rodgers is here because of Saleh. He doesn't want change. He's got his best buddy, his offensive coordinator. I like Ben Johnson. I really like Ben Johnson. But I don't know if I'm rolling the dice on a first-time offensive coordinator turned head coach when you just gave up everything you could give up to get Rodgers and everything. I think we just kind of made our bed and we got to stick with it. Ben Johnson's the next hot name out there, though. Brian says the narrative in the offseason will be Aaron is injured and 40 on a bad team with bad coaching. I mean, that is the narrative because that is what it is. It's 100% what it is. Stanley Man says, Lazard is totally washed along with Cobb. Why doesn't Saleh play the young guys? I don't think Saleh... They're starting to, right? Like Gibson's getting playing time. Ruckert's starting to get playing time. Uzama's starting to get his snaps cut back. Lazard definitely had his targets cut back this week. You're starting to see Carter get pulled and have Breece Hall out there on third down. We haven't really seen that all season. So there is some stuff going on that we can be positive about. Freedom House says 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 6 fumbles through 9 games is not starting quarterback numbers. I don't understand Zach Wilson truthers. I mean, there seems to be a common denominator across 3 years, and I know I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face, but I would like to just see another quarterback, put Simeon in for a game. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then you go back to Zach. And then I just kind of eat crow and I just sit back and say, okay, well, last year sucked too, and we got through it. We'll sit there. We'll get a high draft pick, But I don't want to see Rodgers come back now. Rodgers saying he's coming back middle of December. 1 month. Are we remotely going to be in play for the playoffs? Doesn't feel like it. Tenzing says, can we get Harbaugh? I think there's a shot Harbaugh goes to Vegas, actually. It would be interesting. I don't think there's any way the Jets make any moves to the coaching staff based on what happened. Joe M says the frustration continues. The offense has the tools to do the job, but fail to execute between subpar quarterback play and a ton of silly penalties. They keep failing to meet the mark. It's a consistent problem. We keep having excuses every single week. Like, I'm sorry. Oh, penalties this week. Oh, receivers dropping passes. Turnovers. This. That. Well, guess what? Excuses got to stop at some point. It's got to be on coaching. The last 3 weeks since the bye week have been absolutely abysmal in terms of penalties. Like, I'm putting this on Salah. I'm putting this on Hackett and the offense. The defense came to play. Daniel says, who are we tagging, Huff or Becton? I would not tag Becton at this point. I very much would like to tag Huff. So whether you retain him, extend him long-term, which would be my preferred route, you cannot allow him to leave for nothing. If you can't work out a contract, you have to be able to trade him. Anthony says, why can't we ever find someone like Josh Dobbs? Like, it's friggin' ridiculous. These teams find these quarterbacks from nowhere, and we can't hit on top 5 picks at quarterback. We just have, like, some sort of, I don't know. There's a force field over one Jets drive and MetLife that just can't allow the Jets to have a quarterback. It's coaching, it's media pressure, whatever it is, scouting. We just can't figure it out. Jay Spector said, Raiders lost 2 starting defensive backs and we didn't attack them, playing scared every game. Look, they threw it more than I thought they were going to throw it today. This was the number 2 worst run defense in the league, and the Jets, from their running backs, only got 28 yards from Brees, and I think it was 26 from Dalvin Cook. It's a joke. Larry Turkin says, Ryan, time for a mock draft. I'm going to give it a little bit, but yeah, I'm starting to feel that way. Maybe we'll do a Thanksgiving mock. I don't want to look at mocks, but I feel like it's getting close there. Dakota says, give us Bo Tricks. I really like Bo Nix. I think he played really well last night. Stockier build. I would take a quarterback to sit behind Rodgers. I just don't know if they're going to do it in the first round, and I would love to get a second-round pick. I just don't know how you do it. Chris Hope says Sanders is always an option. In 2 years, personally, great vision and well-rounded athlete. I think he's coming out this year, or he could come out this year. Shaq Khan says, when will Sauce and DJ Reed intercept a damn pass and not arm tackle? Sauce is like Jamal Adams, all hype. Nah, you can't say that. Sauce has been good. Sauce has a good year. It's just he's not, like, when you're playing defensive rookie of the year level and like number 1 cornerback level last year, when you play top 10 level cornerback play, that's a downgrade. I still think he's good. Derek Moore says, Hackett needs to move to the booth and hand the daily management of the offense over to someone with fire and discipline. I would love to see Hackett go up into the booth and say, hey, I'm going to call plays from up here. I feel like I have more command of it, and Rodgers is going to be on the sideline. I'm going to relay it to Rodgers. Rodgers is really going to be calling plays. That's what's going to happen. Top secret. Jets are going to win that way. Oreo says, realistically, who are we beating? The way our offense is playing, who are we beating? You have to look at Zach Wilson. That's the objective of the quarterback, is to score points. Dobbs and the Vikings are that much better than this offense. Dobbs has been with the Vikings for 1 week. He has as many touchdowns as Zach Wilson has in the entire season. 5. He's practiced with the team for 1 week, Dobbs has. He's played in 2 games, has 5 touchdowns. Zach has 5 on the season. Who are we beating the rest of the way out? Jets beat the Bills. Do you feel confident they're going to beat them now? Not the way they've been playing. The Dolphins, I feel like our defense can come to play, but we're not keeping pace with the Dolphins. You're not, I don't see it. Houston looks like a tough game. The Browns are starting to get a little hot. Patriots look like turds. So maybe you win that game. I don't know. I am not feeling confident the rest of the way out. It's really, really ugly. Boogie Down Bronx says, I think the Jets go 7-10. We'd be lucky to win 3 games. So we're 4-5 right now. I don't know if we're going to get to 7. I don't feel confident. The offense really has to come alive to have any shot of that happening. Any shot. Rob V says, I hated the McDonald pick on draft night. I still hate it now because I don't care how good he is or how he looked in preseason. Edge and D-line was our deepest position. We needed O-line help and wide receivers. We didn't know we needed wide receivers at the time. We didn't know Corey Davis was going to retire. We didn't know we were going to trade Mecole Hardman. But yes, I agree. I do think we needed a wide receiver. I thought we were going to get one of Odell or D-Hop. We obviously tried to do that later on. But yeah, look, before the draft, if you go back to the draft stream, Green Bean and I were talking, and Matt, the one position I would have been frustrated with us taking was edge rusher because we were so deep at it. And I said it like kind of in jest, like there's no way they're going to take one. Now, I get why they did, because they were expecting to lose Huff and Lawson at the end of the year. Now you want to retain Huff, and you've wasted your pick on McDonald when you could have had JSN, who's great friends with Garrett Wilson, and would have had your young wide receivers locked in. That was a rough pick. Matthew says, bro, I ripped our coaches after the Giants game and nobody listened to me. Now you're seeing it. No, it's been a coaching issue for a while. I think I see the Salah issue more the last 2 weeks. I feel like it's more of a Hackett issue and an offensive issue than it is a defensive issue. But Salah is the GM of this team as far as head coaching oversight kind of goes, and he's got to be able to right this ship, and it does not feel right. Canto says, nope, Deion Sanders said that Sander is committed to playing for Colorado in 2025. All right, so he's got 2 more years over there. Take your time. Kev Chatta says, Hackett needs to go on a long vacation. Give Aaron Rodgers a try at offensive coordinator. That's what it feels like we should do. Just make him focus on Zach while Aaron calls plays. Do that. Josh says, people forget this O-line is the reason Rodgers is hurt. So realistically, even if Rodgers was here playing, the record wouldn't be much better. O-line can't open lanes and wide receivers can't get open. There's plenty of receivers open, I feel like. And Rodgers being able to get the ball out faster would help the offensive line. Now, I don't think the week 1 offensive line was our best iteration of the offensive line. I think the Kansas City Chiefs game where we had AVT and Tittman and McGovern and Tomlinson and Becton, that felt like our top offensive line. Wild Wave says, JSN wouldn't fix this offense. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. We still can't get the ball to receivers. BX Rep says, just have a sinking feeling that Garrett Wilson is going to snap. When he does, there is no turning back. I mean, this whole offense has got to be so friggin' frustrated. Breece and Garrett probably want to snap and probably would ask for a trade if they didn't know that Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to be here next year. Rodgers being here at least gives you that level of okay, where am I going to go? Where are they going to trade me where I'm going to have a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? Xavier says, get Salah at defensive coordinator, get offense, head coach, B. Rich leaves to head coach. Xavier, I'm not entirely sure what that was supposed to mean. But I do think Salah has been a halfway decent head coach. Alex says, are you confident Douglas is going to fix the offense this offseason? I like Douglas, but I'm starting to have my doubts. So my expectation for Douglas, and I'm still a Douglas believer. It really sucks at this point. I feel like offensive line-wise, I think we're going to draft one in the first round. I think we're going to bring in Mike Evans or a T. Higgins, or maybe there's some type of trade for Devontae Adams, but I don't want to give up the first because I feel like we're going to need it for an offensive lineman. I do think Bakhtiari's probably coming in because of Rodgers. I think that's something we're just going to have to come to grips with. I think he provides at least the same level of injury concern as Mekhi Becton, with at least having top 5 offensive tackle potential. And if this injury or surgery that he's having in the offseason is going to correct the issues that he's had over the last few, then maybe you're going to say, okay, it's not that bad. I would like to add 2 big-time offensive linemen and 2 weapons, both throughout free agency and the draft, or between free agency and the draft. So will he fix it? I don't know if he will. I think he has the opportunity to, but really getting Rodgers back is what we need, because I don't trust Hackett with any other quarterback right now. Knobcraft says, whoever we draft at quarterback in round 3 or 4 won't be worse than this, so silver lining. I mean, I said that after Sanchez. I said that after Geno. I said it after Hackenberg. I said it after Darnold. And then I said it, I'm here now. I can't say it after Zach because I'm stunned just how bad we can get on a consistent basis. It's absolutely bonkers to me. Doesn't feel like that should be able to be a thing. DJ029 said, not true. He said Sanders is playing next season and declaring for the 2025 draft. Oh, so he's playing, gotcha. He's playing 1 year and then going in. This is such a loaded quarterback draft. It probably makes sense for him not to go into it. Garrett Wilson is sounding like he wants out. I'm not looking forward to watching some of these press conferences. I'm going to go live tomorrow morning as well, after I have a night to digest the tape from the Every Throw video. That'll be out in the morning, and then watch some of these press conferences. This is just pure raw emotion right now. So what you guys are feeling, what I'm feeling, and then kind of reassess in the morning here. NYY says, a starting reliable lineman is needed more than a rotational piece on defense. McDonald is still a freak athlete. He is. I don't hate the player. I just don't love the selection. Eddie says Zach is the worst quarterback we have had. The offense has been awful since he's been here. Lord Supreme says Hackett seems to not be able to do anything offensive if it isn't Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, we saw it with the Broncos last year. We saw it a little bit with the Jaguars prior to his time with Green Bay. It's been tough. Rob V says, if Garrett hits Lazard on that play, we win. If Garrett hits Lazard on that play, we win. If Zach Wilson doesn't step out of bounds when he's running, when he has plenty of room to his left, we at least tie that game. If Uzama doesn't hold, there's a chance we wind up scoring and we tie that game. There's too many things going wrong for me not to feel like it has to be on coaching. It's definitely a Zach issue, but coaching is a big problem, and then individual responsibility for those penalties is inexcusable. Jay Spector says, the locker room is ready to explode. I'm sure they're pissed. It's going to be one of those flights back from Vegas where people are just going to lose their damn mind. Zach says, historically bad offense, and we just keep rinsing and repeating. If it's broken, fix it. You would think so, but we believe Zach has the highest ceiling, and be damned if we're going to try anything else. And I think they're going to roll with Zach because they don't want to expose Hackett for as bad as he's been. I think that is part of it. Joey Jets says, Jets can't develop a quarterback. We haven't been able to, in decades, build the team around a veteran starter and a veteran backup. Yeah, I feel like part of this is just like the New York area and like the expectation that comes with being a young quarterback in New York. I feel like you got to take a middle of the pack quarterback in the draft so the expectations aren't absolutely enormous, or build around a veteran quarterback that's like, coming off, like a Kirk Cousins or like a Rodgers, I guess now. I don't know. It just sucks. Our best seasons are with those vets like a Favre or Fitzpatrick. Stripe Bass comes in. Thank you for the super chat. It says, for everyone defending Zach, how would you be treating him if he was on the $35 to $40 million a year contract right now. I've heard enough about his potential. Well, the thing is, he's not on that contract, straight pass. So there are fans that are willing to accept mediocrity from Zach or subpar mediocrity from Zach because there's the hope that he could get better. And you have him on the cheap contract. Now, he's not even playing worth his money on his current contract. So your point is still relevant. And the way the Jets are wording it is they have Zach in there because he has the highest ceiling. And I would agree with that. I just don't believe you need someone with as high of a ceiling if you have someone with a higher floor. I feel like this team would be doing better and we'd be moving the ball more, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's more of a Hackett issue and not as much of a Zach issue. Tonight didn't feel solely on Zach. This felt far more like a coaching issue to me than a Zach issue based on what I've seen so far. But I'll go back and I'll look at the every throw and give you my assessment in the morning. So if you guys want to hop on, we'll hop on around probably 9 or 10 o'clock. Jermonster says, it's very frustrating when this offense can get a drive going but can't get a touchdown. I feel so bad for the defense. They are playing their heart out. Yeah, it feels like the offense finally started to get moving a little bit. You get all the way down to the 3-yard line, the 2-yard line, and all you can muster is 3 points. Derek Moore says, right, Ryan, they are not being held accountable on offense. They aren't. And it's hard. How do you hold other people accountable when your quarterback is playing poorly and he's not being held accountable? Kevin says, in our history, we have drafted a bust quarterback within the number 5 pick, with the number 5 pick, the number 3 pick, and with Zach, the number 2 pick. Jets will make it a mission to have a bust quarterback picked at number 1 overall and number 4, so that way we get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all bust quarterbacks. Kevin, I don't like you right now. I'm tired. I'm cranky. I don't like your chat right now. Canto says, do you think Drake May is reachable in a trade down if the Jets have a top 10 pick? So I need to do enough research on the trading, or not in the trading, of the quarterbacks. Drake May is not one that really jumped off the page at me, but I haven't watched complete games. I've only watched highlights. So I'm comparing his highlights to other highlights, which is not a good thing that you should be doing. You should be watching a full game and seeing how he operates on a play-by-play basis. But in my very amateur opinion of or very early opinion of quarterbacks, I would like one of Michael Penix, Bo Nix, or Jaden Daniels. Those are the 3 that appeal to me the most that I've watched so far, because I don't believe we're going to be in striking distance for Caleb Williams. Not that I necessarily feel like I want to trust a USC quarterback again, but we're not going to be in striking distance of him. I do think May goes second, or second quarterback off the board, so I don't think we'll be in striking distance of him either. I haven't watched Ewers play. I haven't watched enough of McCarthy. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks here. Jay Spector says, all this talent is going to waste, but our future is relying on a 40-year-old Rodgers coming off a torn Achilles. Not good. I think you have to move off Zach this year and bring in a strong enough backup quarterback like a Brissett level quarterback that doesn't necessarily threaten Rodgers for starting time, but is absolutely ready to come in and perform. And if you have that, then I feel comfortable. I would like to move off Zach, though. I'm done with the Zach experiment. Adirondack guy says, Garrett isn't a quarterback for a reason. Zach can't even throw a touchdown. Some of you are blaming an incomplete pass from our wide receiver. Well, I don't think people are blaming Garrett Wilson. I think it's more so that they're acknowledging that Garrett Wilson could have thrown that touchdown. We would have won. We were that close. I mean, Zach Wilson stepping out by like sliver part of a foot. We were that close. Would have at least been a tie game. And I would have trusted the Jets to at least eventually get something going. It felt like they were kind of right on the cusp consistently. But I felt like they bottled up the Raiders for the most part. I mean, look at the Raiders' stats. What did the Raiders finish with tonight? Aiden O'Connell, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 16 of 27. Josh Jacobs was the leading rusher, 27 carries, 116 yards. Could not stop him. Devontae Adams, 6 receptions, 86 yards. Outside of that, 21 yards was the leader. This Jets team, this Jet defense, total yards for the Raiders, 274. You should be able to win that game. Third down efficiency was better this week, almost 50%, 7 of 16. Raiders were 30%, 33%, 5 of 15. Jets allowed 2 sacks. Vegas allowed 3. That's actually better than I thought was actually going to happen. I thought the Jets were going to give up more than 2.5. I thought Raiders were definitely giving up more than 2.5. I took the over on both those. So Ryan's not coming away with any money either. Ugh. Oreo says, can't wait for you to hear Sal's presser. You'll never guess what he said. No, he didn't say we were close or that we got to be a lot better. He also didn't say it's a collective team effort. Interesting. Is he saying it's on him because he's the head coach? That's the only thing I could think of. We'll go through the press conferences tomorrow, and we'll listen to the important clips. So if you guys want to go through it together and give your opinions on that, that's when I'll do that. Ray and nephew, people have put things in perspective. Jets have 3 different offensive coordinators in 3 years, and for each year, the Jets offense is at the bottom of the league. Well, they had LaFleur for 2 years, and they had Hackett this year. They've been at the bottom of the league for those 2. Mr. Downtown says, it upsets me how this staff can hold Elijah Moore and Mims accountable, but not Zach Wilson, when the only thing that Zach Wilson improved on is not getting hurt. It's sad. Yeah, I mean, look, Zach has been bad for 3 years now. His completion percentage is up, but the completions that he's getting, I don't feel are worth getting at points. Like, he'll throw a 3rd and 10 pass to Conklin for 3 yards, and he'll wind up having like a 67% completion percentage. It's like, all right, well, how many of those completions were actually plays that helped you in the long run? Like, was that 3 yards worth it in the field position game, all things considered? Or do you think it was just a wasted play? Feels like a wasted play. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. Zach feels better than last year, but this offense feels worse than last year. Chris says, New York Post, Chris Rock desperately pleads with the USC star Caleb Williams to try and land with the Jets. I did see that video. I don't think there's any way the Jets are in position to get him. Alex says, would honestly rather have Rodgers sit out the season, fully heal up, season is over. Yeah, I don't want Rodgers coming back. Don't put him out there. Not at this point. Get a healthy AVT, get a healthy line, reset, get rid of the bad juju. Come in for next year. Mars Blackman says, Jets always have a good defense and running game, but horrible offense every decade, every year. This year is the exact same. I can't take it anymore. I just want to be entertained on a Sunday. Honestly, that's what it is. DJ, okay, but what about the wild throws that he is making? He makes some really awesome throws at times. The one play where he kind of stepped up in the pocket and did like that little S sort of maneuver and then ripped it like sort of falling to the right. Really, really nice. Completion to, was it Garrett or Lazard? It might have been Lazard at that point. He had a few really nice plays. Really nice plays. You just don't get enough of them. Or at least we can't get in a rhythm to get enough of them. It feels like every drive, there's one of the 3 plays in our first set of downs, that goes backwards. Whether it's a negative running play, a sack, a penalty, something's always going backwards with this damn team. D. Michi, thank you for the super chat. Says, Pats had a dynasty by cheating, Bills winning the division lately, and the Dolphins stay making the playoffs, although frauds. When will it be our time? I felt like it was our time this year. I went all in on this. I thought for sure this was going to be the year with Rodgers, and I feel like it got stolen from us. We shouldn't have to sit here and watch this. And now season ticket holders are going to be forced to pay higher premiums on season tickets after having paid for this season and the shit show that we're going through right now. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. The Jets need to have their time, and it feels like we're trying to do the right things. I don't know what the right answer is. I feel like getting the right quarterback. Look at Houston. See what happens when you hit on a number 2 overall pick and you have that nice little trade down. Houston's looking good right now. Houston's looking good. Hyan says it's the penalties that's killing us on both sides, not just offense. The Huff's penalty got the Raiders in the field goal at the end of the first half. Yeah, Huff had that roughing the passer call. Can't be diving at the legs of a quarterback. He knows it. Kev Chattis says every year we get offensive coaches and somehow the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, we never seem to get like the hot new coordinator. We always get like the runner-up. We get the ugly friend. That's what it is. DJ says, I'm not a truther, but it feels like when they open up the playbook and let Zach make something happen, good things happen. The penalties are killing every drive and putting us in awful spots. Penalties are absolutely killing us, and that is a big issue. I mean, getting delays of games in the red zone, unacceptable. Holding penalties, the whole thing just keeps happening. And look, I have a hard time defending Zach. I'm not going to get on a soapbox about saying Zach needs to get benched because at this point, just go all in on the tank. That's what you're going to do. Just let it ride. At least you can say we tried the entire season for Zach to show us something and he didn't show us anything. Or not enough and you want to move on. As long as you make a concrete decision on him, then maybe that's the silver lining in all of this. Farvian says, yeah, running on 2nd and 10 for 1 yard seems rather standard for this team. I think people forget this when they want to pin so much of the blame on Zach. Yeah, no, look, offensive coordinator has been a problem. Offensive line has been a problem. Penalties have been a problem. Quarterback has been a problem. Wide receiver drops has been a problem. This whole offense has been a fucking problem since Aaron Rodgers got hurt. I don't blame people blaming Zach because that's kind of the only thing we can change. Aside from benching Lazard, penalties have to get cleaned up regardless. But injuries, you're not getting rid of Hackett. Can't really add any more wide receivers at this point. Just sucks. I feel like we're stuck in this like rut. I can't get out of it. K-Stack says, all gas, no break, but we always run out of gas after bye weeks. It's unreal how unprepared we look after bye weeks. Jay Spector says, Breece Hall had 28 rushing yards, wasting a dynamic rusher with this coordinator and this offensive line. I mean, these guys, this offensive coordinator and this quarterback are costing players money. This is career money that they are preventing them from getting because they cannot score any points. There are no statistics to be had. I feel bad for players that come here. And it's why players don't want to come here, honestly. Rodgers is the only thing keeping this moderately okay for the future. Adirondack says, no matter what the defense did, that was negative. It's the points allowed that matters. They still hold the opposing team to low enough points that our offense should be blowing everyone away. Yeah, you look at where we held teams to, there should have been much better performances out of the offense. Much better. Dimichi says, all I'm going to say is Zach is like a flat tire on a broken down vehicle. Even once the vehicle is fixed, you still can't drive it. Just my opinion. Yeah. So even if the quarterback gets fixed, even if Zach is not the guy, and you identify someone who it could be, what you're saying is Zach Wilson is not the only issue. And adding any other quarterback, you're still kind of spinning your tires. And I would say you're probably right. But man, I would sure love to have Josh Dobbs right now and just see what could have happened. See what could have happened. Mike H. says most of the penalized plays would have succeeded without penalties facilitating them. Would not have succeeded without penalties facilitating them. The real issue is we can't cleanly move the ball down the field. Dude, we make everything so much harder on us all the damn time. We just can't score points. We have a very hard time attempting to score points. It's fucking brutal. All right, boys and girls, we're at the 50-minute mark here. I'm going to call this a night. I'll get the every throw video out to you guys tomorrow. We'll do a live stream in the morning after I've listened to all the post-game stuff. Yeah, look, I'm shot. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm frustrated. This team sucks. This offense sucks. This defense does not suck. There's players that really want this team to win, and it just doesn't feel like we are going to do anything to help them. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are you feeling after this loss? And as always, go Jets. D. Michi, look at you. Love you, man. I watch you a lot. Keep your head up. You know what? For you, anything. Anything.
They're